Black Friday at BJ's Wholesale Club is so big, we called in the expert at paying less around the holidays.
Scrooge here. Past, present, or future, it's hard to beat the Black Friday deals at BJ's. Believe me, I've tried. Get 25% off select toys, 30% off select small appliances, and 45% off select TVs through December 1st. Plus doorbuster deals Thanksgiving weekend. These prices are so good they even rattled old Marley's chain. Ah, humbug. Sorry, old habit.
Visit bjs.com/Black Friday for holiday savings.
This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Attack the Baseline, a WNBA podcast where every episode we attack our baseline knowledge of the WNBA. We're your hosts, John and Kristen Barber, and today we're back talking about what just went down in the WNBA Draft Lottery for the 2026 WNBA Draft, which will be coming next spring. We know the correct pick order for the entirety of the first round. We know where the 5 teams ended up in their lottery positions, and we're going to get in to talk about it and talk about what it might mean for the future, the ripple effects in the league. But before we get into all of that, Kristen, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. We had some major Philly news this weekend where the group that typically hosts the watch parties for women's basketball, women's soccer, they announced the name of their sports bar that will be opening in the spring/summer next year. So that's very fun. The Stoop Pigeon.
That's the name. The Stoop Pigeon. Yes.
And we went to a watch party for the NWSL championship, which was very fun. It was cool being in Philly, and the 2 teams that were playing were New York and Washington, and we're, right in between those two. So there were lots of fans rooting for both teams, which was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yes. Yeah, we got to see the, I believe it was the Washington reaction, and then a goal that was disallowed. And then, of course, the New York reaction when Rose Lavelle hit that screamer into the back of the net. And New York held on. They got their championship, their second in 3 years, I saw. So congratulations to all the fans out there of Gotham FC. Certainly an underdog position to be the 8th seed to topple the 2 seed in Washington. Maybe next year we get a little more into the NWSL. We weren't particularly, keeping too close of an eye, but very glad to be there, especially to hear the announcement of the next women's sports bar in the city of Philadelphia. Very excited to be a Stoop Pigeon founding member too. So
yes. And yeah, I will say, we had not really paid that close attention to women's soccer this season. But just going to the game yesterday, chatting with some of our friends, listening to the people around us, you learn pretty quickly who a lot of these players are. We had watched the national women's soccer team. Yeah. So we knew about Trinity Rodman, Rose Lavelle, etc. So yeah, I would like to continue to learn more about women's soccer. Perhaps we'll see what happens with the W. Maybe there'll be an opening in our schedules. And we can start watching soccer next season. Yeah,
that's true. That's no guarantee that we're going to get a W season on time. So it could potentially be a thing. And who knows, maybe in some future, Philadelphia has an NWSL team, but currently they do not. So that certainly loosens our connection to the league. But certainly worth paying attention because there are some diehard fans for that league, and that's awesome to see. Before we get started talking about the results of the draft lottery, if you'd like to send us an email, you could do so at our email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on whatever platform it is that you listen to the show. Connect with us on Bluesky, Instagram, TikTok. We're over there. And tell your friends, tell your family, and hopefully we will have a league again that we can talk about on time as we approach CBA deadline next week. But yeah, I'm just hopeful for that. But anyway, let's talk draft lottery. So, Kristen, what happened in this year's draft lottery? Was it as exciting as we hoped?
I mean, it went how the numbers said it should go.
Yes,
The
statistically
chalk
chalk.
picks, yes. So I wouldn't necessarily say it was exciting. It still was, I'm on the edge of my seat. But nothing crazy happened, no.
Any thoughts on the representatives representing these 5
Of course.
teams? Well, let's start. Let's talk Minnesota. The Studbuds are here. Love to see the Studbuds. Feel like I haven't seen them in a minute. I mean, they're still doing their thing, but like, it's nice to see them.
They were just at the game yesterday.
I know. Yeah, you're right. I did see them with Megan and Sue, but like, it's nice to see them on ESPN and just being on the national stage. Court rubbing her hands together as their opportunity for Minnesota to get the number 1 pick fell through their fingers. Yeah, Studbuds, good choice by Minnesota, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, any choice by Minnesota was going to be interesting because, like, technically, Courtney and T are not on this team right now.
Right.
Like, they're free agents, but it shows their intention, I would say, to want to stay with the Lynx, which I would have expected. And obviously very fun that it was the both of them together there.
Yes, that's what makes it cool. I don't think there's ever been an occasion where it's 2 players representing one team at the same time, but they are such a package duo. I posted about this on Bluesky, but there are only 2 players currently under contract with Minnesota, and that is Dorka Juhas, a player who did not play with the team last year, and Anastasia Kosu, their rookie who barely played last year. So it would have been very silly if you picked one of those 2 players. So I think it's a good call to, you can't go with Faye, considering what she's, said about the league in her exit press. So I think the Studbuds was a good choice here. And I guess it shows the intention of Minnesota to bring them back into the fold next year. I think that's the bigger takeaway here. Kiki? Thoughts on Kiki?
Kiki was great.
Yep.
They didn't do much. They stood there. Kiki was great.
Well, let's round. Okay, so Gabby Williams. I think it also shows the intent of Seattle, who gave Gabby Williams that core contract last year. We saw that. Expect them to offer her some sort of a max type contract next year. And and then Maddie Segrist shows up to represent Dallas. Maddie, who's still under contract with Dallas, blessed by the Pope, ends up with the number 1 overall pick for Dallas. But let's talk about Chicago too, because no player represented Chicago today.
That doesn't surprise me.
It was like crickets. Very a bit telling. Kind of surprising still, because you expect
they
a player.
have a lot of rookie options. They have a lot of young players that could have been there.
Yeah. HVL could have been there.
Either the player said, no, I'm not representing you. Or the front office was like, we don't even want to deal with this. We'll just do it ourselves.
I think that's I feel like the latter is the case here. But Chicago did not get lucky today. They're going to have the 5th.
It's their fault.
It is their fault.
They could have had the 2nd overall pick.
And instead they kind of luck into the 5th pick because they have Connecticut's pick, which, this should have belonged to them, but they have a shot at a talented top 5. They could get somebody good there to help them out. A guard too, most likely, just based on how the board looks. Washington obviously comes in 4th, Seattle 3rd, Minnesota 2nd, and Dallas number 1 overall. So knowing what we kind of know about the college basketball hoopers and the international AWFAM, how are you feeling about what Dallas could do at this moment in time?
So
They're already on the clock.
Yeah. Well, look, we have to start with this, like, obviously huge disclaimer that, like, there are so many free agents. Dallas is one of the teams that will have a lot of rookies still under their rookie contract players, as opposed to many teams that have very few.
Right.
So you can kind of, see a little bit what Dallas needs, whereas some of these teams, like the Lynx, really, the Lynx need everything because right now they have nothing. Because their whole team's free agents, other than Dorka Juhas and Anastasia Kosu. So, but with the Wings, like, many of the players that they have are guards. And as we've seen this past season, they were looking for a big that can play with some of their rookie guards. They went through a few. So I think it makes perfect sense for them to want to draft a big. I think that could be AWFAM. It could be Lauren Betts. I think it remains to be seen how Lauren Betts plays this season if UCLA is able to win a championship. I think either one of those options would be perfectly fine.
It's we can't deny the effect that Paige's charisma could have on the offseason for Dallas. A lot of people love Paige. A lot of players love Paige. Paige is going to be in Unrivaled. We saw the way that Unrivaled creates these bonds between these players. Who's to say that she doesn't bond with any long-term veteran and says, you want to go play? You want to start with me in Dallas? Want to come play with me in Dallas? And then, you're looking and they add a couple highly touted free agents. Maybe then they just say, Lauren Betts could be the big to top it off. 6'7", perfect. Get her in there. Or maybe they decide we want to go slow and we just hired a brand new head coach. And AWFAM is a 19-year-old Spanish player that if we wanted to, she could stay in Spain, even though her intention, as we've heard, is to come over and play. She's certainly the closest thing to a unicorn type player that exists in this draft. She can kind of do a little bit of everything from what I've seen, or a lot of bit of everything, I should say. So maybe they just go optimum there. And then what's nice would be if you did that, you just traded for Leah Rue. Maybe Leah Rue is your starting center, and that's where you kind of want, her relationship with Paige. It's kind of going to be, well, what does Paige want? And what does Kurt want? They're going to talk. And then their new coach, Fernandez, he's going to have some opinions about the type of basketball that he wants to play. So it remains to be seen, but I would say without a doubt, it's one of those two players going 1-1.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Skims, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skins uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Kevin Harlan here. This Black Friday, Prime is taking over with an incredible day of live sports. Black Friday football is at the center of it all, with the Chicago Bears taking on the Philadelphia Eagles at 3 Eastern. Immediately after that, it's an exciting Emirates NBA Cup doubleheader. The Bucks will take on the Knicks at 7 p.m. Then the Mavericks will be in LA against the Lakers at 10. It's the final night of knockout rounds as teams vie for a spot in the quarterfinals. And the whole day starts on the links with the Capital One Skins game as 4 elite PGA golfers face off with $4 million on the line. Black Friday game day tees off with the Capital One Skins game at 9 a.m. Eastern. Then it's Black Friday football with the Bears and Eagles at 3. And it all culminates with the doubleheader of NBA basketball, the Emirates Cup action featuring the Bucks at Knicks at 7 and the Mavs at the Lakers at 10. And it's all only on Prime.
If we move on down here and we look at Minnesota, what do we wish cast for Minnesota?
Well, I think let's just assume that they draft Awafam, the wings.
Yes, because that's the more interesting thing. Because if it's Betts, then the Lynx are definitely taking Fam.
Yeah.
But now let's say Fam's off the board. What does Minnesota do?
So, personally, I think Lauren Betts could be great in Minnesota. I think Minnesota needs more rim protection, needs more height, and she would be a perfect fit for that. But I don't know, like if Lauren Betts necessarily fits in the play style that Cheryl Reeve has been trying to create with the team. So maybe they try to go down to Olivia Miles and pick a point guard if they want to do that, depending on, what they do with Courtney Williams. Because Court's not really a point guard.
I mean, she has certainly, since we started watching, has become more of a point guard.
Right.
I think she is she's a combo guard, but I think she's a shooter by nature. But she's also been a really good passer, and she's grown as a passer. But I think getting her in off-ball situations where you can let her get to her spots,
right,
and then set her up would make an Olivia Miles pick at 2 potentially exciting for Minnesota fans.
Yeah, so that could work. I just also don't know, in general, will Cheryl be more willing to play rookies this upcoming year than she has been the past 2 years? She has not played many of her rookies. That depends on what other players can you get back in the draft or get back in free agency.
Right.
We don't know. I would think people would want to play with the Lynx. People want to play with Fee.
Yeah.
It's a very, I think, desirable place to play. I'm not worried that they're going to get free agents.
Right.
So in that sense, where perhaps they can attract free agents and don't necessarily need or want to play a rookie, they could very well just use this pick, trade this pick to get more picks in the future and move back in the draft.
Yeah, that is certainly on the table. As we discussed with one of our friends of the podcast, Jonathan, a Minnesota Lynx fan, he mentioned that one of the things that it felt like Minnesota was lacking was rim pressure. And he would love the idea of the team trading down to 5, which, might be tough. Imagine Chicago trading up to 2.
That would be hilarious.
Would be pretty interesting.
When it was their pick to begin with.
And drafting Flau'jae Johnson, a ultra talented, hyper athletic, driver. That could work. That could give them a different dimension to the game that they're already playing. It wouldn't be shocking because they kind of lucked into this scenario, and now you could use that pick as ammunition. But of course, as I said, if Awa Pham falls, no reason not to take her there at 2.
Right.
So there's a lot of different ways that Minnesota could go.
Could they? We see this in football. I don't know if we see this in basketball. Could they wait to see what Dallas does at 1 and then get on the phones and try to trade this number 2 pick?
Absolutely.
While they're all sitting there in that room?
They would certainly be calling Kurt. Kurt will get calls from Minnesota to get an idea of what they're going to do. If they think that I was going to slip to 2, then that's great. Perfect. If they know that she's going to go 1, then they have already had those conversations, most likely, with those teams below them. Also, who's to say that those teams below them don't call them over the next 4 months anyway?
Sure.
Because now we know that you're the 2 pick. We've got ammunition. I don't know who has the most picks available to make that kind of a move. But maybe a Lauren Betts is super desirable to somebody else that's outside of the lottery even, and they want to just move up. Maybe we see Portland or Toronto make a move into the lottery. That would be kind of surprising and unlikely, but could be on the table. You could trade 2 1s of your 3. Wouldn't necessarily mess around with that, but still, who knows? You could set your franchise up. The thing for me about Minnesota is because they have so many unsigned players and we don't know the rules, I'm wondering about what Alana Smith, Fee, and Lauren Betts would even look like to me. That would be pretty big, pretty good defensive front court options. But we don't know the rules because the CBA hasn't been signed. We don't know if when they protect a player in the expansion draft, if they're going to have the right of first refusal to, say if another team offers a contract to an unrestricted free agent, will they have the opportunity to just re-sign them or match it? Because that wasn't the case in this recent expansion draft, but they could change the rules. I'm saying Alana Smith because I would expect her to be protected based on her talent alone, the co-defensive player of the year. But also Alana Smith, if she finds out that they want to draft a big like Lauren, maybe that she feels like should just go play with Sandy in Toronto. I could go get a max in Toronto or something. Mm-hmm. Who knows? There's a lot of open avenues that we just don't know. So it really is difficult to do this, but I still love to consider all the possibilities here. Mm-hmm. Move on down. 3rd overall pick, Seattle. Seattle has some bodies. Dominique Malunga, Lexi Brown, who didn't play a lot, but new coach. Maybe the new coach wants to integrate Lexi Brown into the fold. And then 2 returning players from injury, Jordan Horston and Nika Mule, 2 defensive guards. Nika Mule is playing meaningful basketball now, so everybody is looking healthy. Mm-hmm. Well, what does it look like for them? So let's say Awa's off the board, and then let's say Betts is off the board at 2. What do you think? Seattle's just going to would just go with Miles there, right?
I mean, yeah, I think they do draft a guard the next few projected best players are all guards.
All guards. Yep.
But I do think that's a need of Seattle. Of course, presumably they want to keep Gabby as she was at this draft lottery. They have Dominique. I would also presume that NECA stays there.
Probably gets her one payday on the way out.
Yeah, I don't know. The leadership will be changing as well in Seattle, the coach. So it's just so much is up in the air. But that was just, I think was a weak point in Seattle last year was their guards versus their bigs. They had such solid bigs. So yeah, I think, and Olivia Miles, it depends what happens with Skylar. I don't know.
Right.
There's drama with Skylar. Presumably also. Does Skylar want to leave? I don't know.
But wouldn't it be funny if Olivia Miles, who was projected to them last year at 2nd overall, ends up going to them 3rd overall the following year only because they made a trade with LA to get the 3rd overall pick? Would be wild stuff. People were debating Dominique Malunga versus Olivia Miles, and you got both of them.
That is crazy. That would be crazy.
It's just a fun scenario.
Well, I would say if Skylar does want to stay with the Storm, then perhaps they draft AZ instead of Olivia.
Another defensive-minded guard who's a great shooter.
Yeah. So that could go either way.
Sure, right, because you run Sky at point. You're not going to want to have, unless you're only doing Sky for like 1 year, and then you kind of let Olivia learn from Sky. That could also be a potential idea for them to consider. But yeah, I would be pretty excited if I was a Seattle fan for the opportunity that I get at 3. You get a really good player.
I'm very excited for Seattle. Like, I think some of this drama needs to fizzle out. Some people need to be turned over in the leadership, the coaching. But I'm very excited for them. I think it's going to be a new era for sure in Seattle.
So then let's look at Washington and Chicago kind of at the same time, because Chicago is just going to end up with, assuming they don't make any moves like we've thought of here, they're just going to end up with a guard, which is good because it's what they need. They're going to end up with potentially the opposite, one of Flage or AZ or Olivia. And if for some reason all 3 of them aren't there, Tanaya Latson's there. Wouldn't it be the worst thing in the world to end up with her? I find it unlikely that Betts, unless she really falls off this college season, would fall outside of the top 5. Just based on the pedigree and the size and the defense, I would still expect her to go best player available. But, we even talked in our group chat, and like, our friends are kind of thinking like, well, I would probably let her go if I didn't need a big. Washington doesn't really need to play her, wouldn't want to play her with Kiki, and they could potentially bring back Shakira. And Chicago's not going to draft her with Angel and Camilla. So there is a world where Lauren Betts falls out of the top 5, depending what happens at 2. And I think that's crazy at this moment in time. But I just expect them to end up with a guard. Washington kind of can't go wrong. Washington is like so set up core-wise right now to both compete and go long-term. I mean, Kiki, Sony, Georgia Amor coming off of injury. You've got Lucy Olsen there too, a decent role player. And you've got JC Sheldon, who I know you roll your eyes, but a lot of teams around the league have given JC Sheldon a lot of minutes. Backup point guard situation, backup point guard situation for JC Sheldon. She's at least a body that has gotten a lot of WNBA experience. So like, from a core perspective, you have some star level talent potentially and some decent role players. You can kind of have an embarrassment of riches here at 4. Nothing wrong with that, getting a good guard at 4 to pair with your other good guards.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't hate them drafting a big. Like, I know that Kiki is their future, but like she's becoming very flexible of a player.
Sure.
Stephanie Dolson is there, perhaps won't be there. They have Shakira. I don't know if they keep Shakira.
Right.
You can't just have Kiki.
It would be cool if in Unrivaled, Kiki works on her outside game and starts to dabble with, you know, the long ball, add a 3-point shooting stretchability, because then you could potentially go with Lauren if she were to fall. I don't know how clunky it would be, how much it would work long term, but Kiki can certainly develop, like you're saying, into more of an offensive threat from different perspectives. And then, Chicago's going to get whatever they get, and they're going to be happy for it. Maybe Chicago just decides to trade down, too. You never know. They certainly could use picks, because when they make trades, well, they don't always go as planned. But, even though it was chalk, we talked about the other day that we're very excited about the different possibilities that could come from the top of this draft class. So the lottery's done. We have the draft order. Now, the next thing I can say is just please get a CBA negotiated and completed before this deadline. Come on, something to benefit the players, because right now the offers, again, that the league is making are not up to the level that they need to be. The last offer was a $1.1 million max contract. That is still ways away. When we talked about this a few months ago at this point, we think it needs to be somewhere in the 2.5, 3 range.
I think it has to be, max needs to be like 3.5. I think it should be higher than that, but I think that's what it probably will end up needing to be.
And you need to show that there is going to be scaling that occurs for these salaries in the future. And that's what they're still not showing.
Right. Like, that's what I think their biggest hang up is right now. Like, the players know this is going to keep growing. This league is going to keep getting bigger because they are going to do that. Like, they have been doing that, growing this league and getting more fans. So they are going to keep doing that. So they deserve to get a larger salary as the teams and the league keeps gaining in profit. But that has not been shown, apparently, in these offers.
Yeah. No. I think the league needs to go and figure out what the heck those Project B contracts are. And they need to figure out how to combat that. We haven't talked about Project B. We're not going to talk about Project B today, but we will talk about Project B this week. So be on the lookout for a podcast later this week coming where we talk about the recent rumblings in Project B world and give our opinions about how that is looking. But yeah, just things that they need to iron out. We went along with the draft lottery just like as if nothing was happening, as if everything was fine. And I want everything to be fine. So please give us that for the holidays. Okay, the other thing that we want to chat about to end this show very briefly, the New York Liberty have hired their head coach, one Chris DeMarco, an assistant head coach for the Golden State Warriors of the NBA, as well as the head coach of the men's Bahamian national team, coaching 176er VJ Edgecombe at one point. Chris DeMarco, your thoughts?
Don't ask me. I have not looked this man up. You looked him up more than I did.
I am trying really hard. If you know how this man is the head coach of the Bahamian national team when he was born and raised in Wisconsin, I would really like to know, because I can't figure out what the link is. And maybe I'm missing it, but like, if you know, send me an email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com, or send me a DM on Bluesky, please. I just need to know. And maybe it's obvious, but it's not obvious to me. Unfortunately, this leaves us with no black female coaches in the WNBA. Kind of crazy. Leaves us with 8 male coaches to 6 female coaches in a women's league. Kind of a shame. Not kind of a shame, is a damn shame. And Yeah, I think this is a bit of a flop for New York, if I'm being completely honest. Unless he's an absolute superstar coach, and we know the connection was Sabrina talks to Steph. Steph says, hey, I won multiple championships with this guy as my assistant head coach. Obviously, we know Sabrina and Steph's connection. Sabrina poses the opportunity to the higher-ups on the team, and they end up going with that. It's just a bummer. You were the last team to sign head coach, and this is kind of what we get. Like,
make it a good one.
Yeah.
If you're going to be the one that's holding out and like waiting and researching and interviewing.
And look, this sets the precedent of, we've seen in New York, if you win a championship, you're not safe the next year.
I'm expecting him to win this year or you're done. That seems to be what it is.
Yes, on that Chris Koklanis track record, that pathway. Yeah, I don't know anything about this guy, but it seems like an uninspired pick to me. Less connection to the NBA, more development within the WNBA.
It's just the NBA's grip on this league is so strong, and they're really trying to flex on them right now because the NBA is trying to squeeze as much money out of these women as they can and give them as little as they can give them. And it's just like more slaps in the face that I'm not giving you the money that you deserve, and now you're going to have to be coached by all of our assistant coaches.
Yep. Well, I think that'll do it for this episode of Attack the Baseline. Again, if you'd like to send us an email, you could do so. attackthebaseline@gmail.com. Connect with us on Bluesky, Instagram, TikTok. Leave us a 5-star rating and review on whatever platform it is that you listen to. Tell your friends and family about the show as we continue into the off season. And like we said, we'll be back later this week. We're going to talk about Project B a little bit, as much as we know about it, which is not a lot. And we're also going to talk about Diana Taurasi's new show, The Link, which is fun on YouTube. So check that out, because we're going to talk about her day with Paige. And hopefully a second episode, I think, will drop. But we'll get to that later in the week. Anyway, that'll do it. Kristen, I'm staring at the baseline. What are we going to do?
Well, I really don't want to leave this off on like a bummer note.
No bummer note?
No. I feel like I did that by being upset about the NBA. In general, I'm very hopeful. I'm hopeful. I'm excited. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say, but I don't want to like be a bummer at the end of this and like be mad.
Sure.
We're looking for positives.
Yes.
College
Feed
basketball.
the positive.
College basketball remains fun.
UConn beat Michigan the other night.
That was a great game.
UConn's looking pretty tough.
Paige was funny on her Instagram. She said, "Thank you to Maddie. Thank you to the Pope." So we're still having fun. I'm not trying to be a bummer.
Yes. No, we're not trying to be a bummer.
Okay. Attack it.
Attack the Baseline. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back later to talk Project B and The Link.
Lowe's early Black Friday deals are going fast. Don't miss up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, up to an extra 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. And with Christmas around the corner, you're gonna need more string lights, right? Save $4 on GE LED 100-count string lights, now just $5.98. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 12/3. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.